Alrighty.
Cool, thanks. I'm here with Jackie Porter, who's our group manager for Verify. It's actually in the middle of our one-on-one, but I wanted to have a synchronous discussion because I was struggling to capture my thoughts asynchronously. Let me share my screen. The issue we were talking about was I had a discussion with Camille, one of our, sorry, Camille, I'm gonna get your title wrong, staff engineers in GitLab about different pipeline and job views. And there's an inkling in my head, Jackie, that it spans multiple groups. And so I wanted to make sure that there's a shared vision across groups that are both in Verify for kind of like what job we're trying, this job that I think we're trying to tackle that spans both of them. And I described the job about, one thing I repeatedly hear from customers is this need for how do I get insight into my pipeline and job efficiency, not at an individual job or pipeline run level, but across all time. Like, hey, I've got this pipeline, it's my master branch pipeline for this project. How long does it take to run, as an example, over time? Is it taking longer and longer to run? Is it taking shorter and shorter to run? And then the same could be true for a job. If I had a defined job name and I want to look at just that job, what's the time to run this job? Is it taking longer? Is it taking shorter? That seemed to me like a initial MVC that shows both. Yeah, so that I think is actually very much a Verify CI capability. But then you could also extend that to say, for instance, here's the job, what's the code coverage happening in that job? So there are other metrics that you could expand over time that maybe are a little bit more in a testing world, or what part of that time comes from runner boot versus the actual job execution. That might be a little bit in runner. So I'm trying to figure out, the job is, how do I make sure that my pipeline is running as efficiently as possible? And the thing that I've heard from users is that they would love to see a view of that on a pipeline and job specific level over time.
Yeah, that resonates with the research that I did with the SCM enterprises that are not adopting GitLab CI, is that they can't analyze their pipelines, and that's why they're not adopting CI. So that's a really great affirmation there. As far as the experience that you're expecting, are you looking at this from like an analytics view, or are you thinking of this like in the pipeline view, or?
Oh yeah, good question. Let me, yeah, I think in my note I said this, but let me see if I can. This is in the product project. Maybe it has pipelines. Okay, so there are pipelines. This tells me the time for each pipeline.
Right.
This is, they're all on the main branch. If I could trigger, if I could sort them by, I guess if I could sort them by branch, I could look at just the master branch pipelines. Or it's called main, sorry. But what I don't get is the overview of the timings of these. Some of them vary widely, and I'm not sure why. Oh, because some of them are scheduled. So it would seem like there are certain conventions that you want to know, like maybe there's a specific scheduled pipeline view, and then a specific master pipeline view, and then a like post-merge commit view, and then a branch pipeline view. And you would want to know the timing trends for those. And so one thing I was discussing with Camille is I don't really know what the best filters are to get at those specific views, but I would imagine users have very specific sets of pipeline that they then want to see the trend of timing, for example, on. I just don't know.
Okay.
Today you'd have to do it with these filters, and you can't do that super well. And
Yeah.
One other thing, when we were talking about jobs, you can't filter jobs at all. But if I just filtered by the job name, I could see like what's the timing trends of execute. And maybe if I had a filter where I could choose the job, then it would show me a graph at the top that was the timing trends for each specific job.
Okay, so I'm hearing two problems. One, enhance the pipeline view so that there's like pinned filters that are selected by users so that they could toggle between saved filtered views on the pipeline view.
I think yes, but and that is still to get to the job of, let me see, I'd like to investigate the efficiency of my pipeline. So you could show you the timings, but it'd be great to have the graph of the timings at the chart at the top, or maybe there's a specific view.
Although that job to be done of trends for pipelines is also solved by the analytics for CI/CD when you look at like pipeline views and they see like pipelines over time.
Yeah, but they because they bundle all of my pipelines together, that I think is it tells me number of pipelines and success failure, but it doesn't tell me timing. And I would want to filter those timings.
So you could filter the trends on the graph though, right?
Yeah, yes, you're right. Like if it was actually, it lived here where we see pipeline charts, there was another one that said, you had both the time and the word that Camille and I were using was trigger source, which is what triggered that pipeline to run. And there are probably a defined set of them. Then yeah, if this was pipeline charts of not just number of pipelines and success fail, but also being able to filter to the trigger source and how long each one of those took, that would be great. So I did worry about like that filter view that I was just showing you is very, that's not the job for this page. The job for this page is help me find a specific pipeline.
Right.
So you don't want to burden it with also saying, and give me the efficiency of all pipelines that you're showing me on this page.
That's what I was thinking too. And then whenever I look at the jobs that people are trying to accomplish with trends, they're going to go to analytics first. So when we look at the user journey and where they're trying, the kind of information they're going for, developers are going to go to pipelines to look for failed jobs. But Delaney, who is interested in looking for trends over time, they're going to go to the analytics view to understand what's happening over time globally across my teams, and then filter by triggering, filtered by longest running job, and identify and triage that. So I think that if we're looking for more granularity of trends over time, we would probably render more value of an MVC on the pipeline chart. Okay. There'd be more rigor that we would squeeze out of that, rather than adding more burden to the pipeline view. And I'd also be worried about performance in the pipeline page, because that's already kind of an overloaded page. I don't know what performance that currently has. So I would want the team to do some testing on that first before we start to add additional views or toggling or charts to that.
You just saying that made me wonder, sorry, I'm just keep switching back and forth between my screen. We have this insights thing, which allows you to customize exactly what you want to see. Mm-hmm. I wonder if you could just enable insights to start showing pipeline statistics.
Can you drop down and see? I think if you go to a different project, there's actually something like maybe .org.
That's because they are set up. Let me show you. In this repo, somebody, no.
Because I think that I've seen pipelines in one of these projects before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what project it was. So
sorry, it's in it. It's probably here. Oops. Do I not have?
Oh, this one's slow.
Come on.
Merge requests, but yeah, we have bugs, regressions. So I think either insights or analytics, I think would be more valuable of adding trends and filtering to than the pipeline view. Again, performance, the person who is seeking that information, and what we're actually looking to do with that view, I think would be are the factors that lead me to make that decision.
Yeah, the insights one, I just know under the hood you customize. I'm trying to think of a project that has customized insights. I thought that GitLab com. This repo, I think, has customized insights. Insights, yeah. Like you can write your own YAML, but I bet that today, one of the queries,
Mhm.
or maybe it's not types, whatever the, oh, issuable type is only issues, but what if you wanted the thing to query to actually be not issues or MRs, but pipelines?
Yeah.
That might be an MVC to allow users to define their own dashboards while